like, I always thought, like, because I watched, like, one of the Bruce Lee specials and stuff, and, like, you know, you can't really say Jackie Chan without Bruce Lee, because he really kind of opened the gateway for a lot of Asian movie stars. And, like, I don't know, like, Jackie Chan was more of, like, an open following, compared to, like, you know, classics like Bruce Lee and stuff, and you have, like, of course, Jet Li, and I was never a fan of Chow Yun-Fat, or, like, you know, the Steven Seagal, and, like, all those kind of movies. Like, there's only so many, you freaking horse, there's only so many times you can, like, repeatedly whip kick somebody in a movie before it gets boring. But, I don't know, I mean, Bruce Lee helped open a lot of gateways, because it was kind of a stigma that, you know, like, I think that Steven Seagal movies, in a way, fucking things, and stuff like that, are kind of, like, you have these kind of great Chinese martial artists that spend their whole life doing it, and then someone like Jean-Claude Van Damme just comes in and suddenly he's a celebrity. Like, I don't know. Like, not saying that, you know, only Asians can do it, but before Jackie Chan, it was pretty much like only Bruce Lee, so it was kind of hard for... Do I have to start all the way at the beginning? Okay, good. Like, it was kind of like a disenfranchising them, in a way, because it's kind of like, you know, you have these great academies that these people, like, have worked their entire life for, and, you know, Steven Seagal, who's, frankly, he's a douchebag. Like, I don't know. Just people like that, they do, like, cheesy camera effects to make them seem like, you know, like, oh, he's kicking like this, but, like, then you get, like, one... Why do I keep getting wires? Oh, really? And it feels disingenuous. I don't know how else to describe it. And, like, I don't know, I always felt like, you know, when you have certain, like, it's bad to say, like, oh, they're typecast or whatever, but, like, having, like, Asian people in cinema is, I don't know, when it comes to, like, kung fu movies and stuff like that, like, I feel like that's more, like, their territory kind of stuff. Like, I hate seeing nowadays in movies how it's, like, some random, like, white chick who out of nowhere, like, you know, can suddenly do, like, kung fu backflips, and her face and hair color changes every single time she does it. You know, I just feel like it's kind of a ripoff. But, I mean, a lot of people do assume that, you know, Asian people all know kung fu and stuff, which is just kind of silly if you ask me. But I just feel like there should have been more of, like, I don't know, like Bruce Lee said, he wished there were, you know, kind of more of an allowance of, even though they seem like, you know, like Asian exploitational movies or whatever, there were a lot of, like, hard-working stuntmen in China that were, and, you know, Japan and other countries that were looking basically for bullshit. Get the fuck out of here. Okay, these things are just annoying. They were looking for, like, good, decent work, and it was very hard for a lot of, yeah, let's see, a lot of Asian Americans and stuff like that to get into it, or people from other countries to really show their expertise in American cinema. And it was really bad because it's kind of, I won't say, like, taking a job away from them, but it's like, you know, these people spend their lives training, hoping to get something, and you just, like, instead just bring someone in who's, like, half-assed, ow, you know, and do, like, fake camera work to make them look like some sort of, like, martial arts hero. And I don't know. I think you should leave, like, martial arts to martial arts professionals. Like, I understand there are people like Jason Statham, but he, you know, he does stuff with Jet Li, and he brings in other things, and most of the movies he's in usually has, like, you know, people from all over the world. It's not just like, you know, the evil, like, Asian commie guy or, like, evil Russian commie guy comes in, and it only, like, a kung fu, like, trained white guy can defeat them. Like, I don't know. I mean, that's the way it, like, felt in movies like the not very good Expendables. How it was like, the only person who can defeat them is Stallone. Like, Jet Li is just not powerful enough. I don't know, I mean, it also has to be said, like, a lot of things Bruce Lee and even Jackie Chan had talked about were, like, even, like, Asian movies end up getting ripped off. Like, I forget the Akira Kurosawa, I think, I can't remember the movie now, but it was, like, basically a lot of, like, the John Wayne Western movies were taken out of these kind of samurai movies that came out around the same time. And they just kind of adapted the story for American audiences. And I think that's kind of cheap to basically tell a story like a directly, like, Asian kind of story, and then just replace the actors and put it in a cowboy setting instead. I don't know. And you even see it, like, okay, The Grudge and movies like that. Fuck you! Like, I understand there's certain, like, tropes in Asian culture that can't really be expressed to English audiences, but at the same time, the originals often state a point that's very different, and, like, the American movies like to add in things that don't make much sense, or, like, it seems kind of silly because they feel that American audiences need these things. But I appreciate a lot of Asian cinema for its not being insultive of the audience, and, like, frankly, there are some really amazing Asian actors, but they can never break it in America, and it's always a disappointment that America feels like it has to, like, Hollywood, I should say, not America, feels like they should bring a movie over and translate it, for American audiences, because American audiences just can't handle the level of like the magnitude of, you know, something said in the movie. And I don't know, I've never appreciated that. I mean, even in, like, I think it was Jean-Claude Van Damme who basically did a ripoff of a Malaysian movie about martial arts, and he's like, oh no, this is my original script, like, I wrote it this way, but it was pretty much like a verbatim copy of this, like, not well-known Asian movie. And it's like, you know, could you really be more of a dick? Like, you know, some guy spent money in an Asian studio and found, like, really great actors to do this movie, and you just, like, rip it off, and you're like, oh, no biggie. I don't know. I mean, that kind of stuff always bothers me. Like, I thought the American version of The Ring was good, but, like, things like The Grudge were crappy because Sarah Michelle Gellar can't act to save her life. I mean, she should have stuck to Buffy, where you don't have to act or really work. Sweet. Triple kick! Okay, these little spear launcher things are pissing me off. Come on, come fight me down here. Damn it, I said go in the pit. And there are other ones, like, Cairo that came over as, I think, the Signal or something, and it lost all sense. Like the movie made a lot of really good points, like the original one, Cairo, but the Signal was just like something else entirely. And they're like, they didn't even write like inspired by Cairo or like anything like that. And I don't know, I hate that shit. And like Bruce Lee did complain about that kind of stuff, how there's this kind of like insultive attitude towards like Asian cinema and martial artists and stuff like that, that it's kind of like, you know, that martial artists can't really do anything else but martial arts movies. And, I mean, yeah, it sucks to get, like, typecast, but, I mean, if you have a skill like martial arts, it's often better that you use it. You bitches! You, pink shirt. You need bitch slaps. Just kicking my ass. I don't know. It's kind of like if I translated something from, like, I don't know, German or French, and then just stole it from man. Oh, I have to start all over again. And then claimed it as my own original, which is kind of cheap. But I think that's all I'm gonna play of this game, because it's just getting frustrating. Like, it's not a bad game, it's a good game, but I'm just running out of subject matter to talk about. You know, I do feel strongly about Asian cinema, and feeling that Asian cinema should really be, I won't say like left in Asia, but like if you have so much trouble that you can't read subtitles, like I hate dubbing. Dubbing is something that we did in the 70s to make like ridiculous kung fu movies. But like stories coming out of Asia and movies coming out of Asia, and Asian actors and actresses really need a little more spotlight in Hollywood, and not just like the smart girl or like the guy who knows kung fu or like anything like that. I feel like they really need just to say like, oh, well, we love this Asian movie, let's bring the actors and actresses back and do like a big budget version of it, which would be really good, because the actors and actresses have already been through this movie. They know the ins and outs of this movie. They understand the lines. They've been through all the difficulty. And then you could spend the rest of the time really focusing it. I mean, I'm sure a lot of them don't speak English and stuff like that, but even if you did a re-release of one of these movies, if it was like 5-10 years old, had a low budget, couldn't do all the things it did, why not bring them over? Like, I think it's something that kind of needs to happen. I think that there's the reason why so many people turn away from Hollywood and go, like, I love a lot of really foreign movies. Like, Wasabi is all in French and Japanese, and that movie is amazing. And there's a lot of other movies out of Europe that are really good. It's just that people can't get over the subtitles, or they want to, like, remake them. But, like, there are certain cultural taboos, I think, that Hollywood needs to understand, and if your audience is too dumb to understand it, then release it at a lower budget or something. But don't just, like, take it, repackage it, repurpose it, and then like not say it is what it is. Like The Grudge, they didn't, the original one, they originally didn't say based on Ju-on, and they didn't give any credit to the original director when they first did it, and then it got scrapped, and then they remade it with Sarah Michelle Gellar and put it back out with credits to Ju-on, because basically they wanted to avoid having to pay anybody else for their own like creative movie. I mean, it's, you don't want to see like the Chinese version of like the Transporter. You don't really need to. Like Asian cinema can understand it and they're fine with it, and you know, European cinema can understand it, but like the push for making movies that people internationally will like, and like focusing more on, you know, the international audience than say like a regional audience, is kind of pathetic, and it loses the point of sometimes there are like important culture stories to tell. And when it comes to Asian cinema, there's a lot of important taboos and cultures that people need to understand, because it'll help us all kind of understand each other. And I do agree that like even in placement, it'll always be, you know, white Jewish guy as the main character, like usually like nerdy or something like that, or like, you know, some son of a director like Nicolas Cage who like redoes a movie, like, and they just scrap almost all the Asian characters and lose the point of the story and then re-release it, and sure, it sells well in the movies, but like it would probably sell better if you know, like put a face on it like Jet Li, or you know, even if you have to use the same characters, Asian actors and actresses, that's fine. That's better than just like, screw it, we'll go for Nicolas Cage. Like it feels so unnatural. But I don't know. That I always feel like that with Jackie Chan and Bruce Lee and stuff, that they got kind of pushed into this archetype, and even if they made a movie that would be geared toward them, it would be like Jean-Claude Van Damme would get the role over someone like Jackie Chan, just because Jean-Claude Van Damme's a face. And like, you know, they pump out all of these crappy, like half of Steven Seagal's like little movies, you know, his crappy vampire movies and stuff, like are outright ripoffs. Like his recent one is like a ripoff of like I forget, it was like Akihiko Vampire Killer and Blood Plus. It was like two of those kind of fused together in this "what the fuck you doing" movie, and it came out really poorly. Like I just don't understand why it had to be that way. They really could have done more for it. I don't know. That's pretty much all my opinion on that. It's kind of depressing. But this game, good game. I mean, Jackie Chan Adventures, I always liked. I always appreciated the show, and yeah, there's not much more to say about it. If you like brawlers, you'd probably like this. I'm not a huge fan of brawlers in this style. The enemy hit zones are very weird, so you kind of get like pinned in a place where blocking doesn't work. And I liked his moves, but he is a little stiff to control. No pun intended. But so it's a little awkward. But the music's good. Like the gameplay and the graphics work well together. I don't know how to pick up items. There's probably something that you have to do to pick up items, but I tried all sorts of button combinations and I couldn't figure it out. But maybe Jackie Chan can't use them. Maybe only enemies pick them up or something. Who knows? But either way, that's all for Let's Play Jackie Chan Adventures. The something of the Black Hand. Attack of the Black Hand, or something like that. With me, Morak Dice. See you later.